Hi everyone, welcome to the June budget review. Since I'm retroactively recording many of these videos, instead of doing my weekly budget check-in, I'm doing a monthly budget review. I am going to tell you, I am learning now the importance of doing weekly budget check-ins. By the time you wait until 4 or 5 weeks to review your budget, it becomes a chore and just a random exercise as opposed to something that really guides you so that you are successful. Now, I was checking my expenses as I went, but I really wasn't being thorough in how much I was spending. By God's grace, things have worked out, but in some ways they have gotten out of control. And you will see how as I go through my budget. So for the budget here, let's start. We're gonna go line by line and see how I did and whether or not I stayed or went over budget. For my income, I estimated, and usually I try to estimate around $18,400. Ended up bringing in about $16,346. Keep in mind that that's a combination of my rental income, my full-time income, and the money that I get reimbursed on expense reports. Okay, so this is not all my monthly, my take home, my salaries on my wages. So that's a difference of less than $2,000 than what I expected. Let's see if how that reflects in our expenses. Order and transport, I budgeted $200, ended up spending $178. So I was under budget by about $21.69. For bills and utilities, I budgeted $4,000, ended up spending $3,848.56. So that I was below budget by $151. We like seeing that. Business services, I budgeted $250. I only spent $48, so I was below budget by $200. Education, I budgeted zero, spent $0. Entertainment, budgeted $24, spent $14.98. Below budget by $10. Fees and charges, this is where I couldn't be more happy about this, you guys. A lot of my fees and charges, if you guys remember, were all related to my credit card debt. So now as I've paid off the credit cards, I'm also seeing that reflected in how much I'm paying on fees and charges. I budgeted $400, only spent $286.55, leftover $113. So we are doing good, you guys. Now financial here, this is an interesting one. So the month of July, I really did not, because I was focusing on moving, I didn't really pay attention to a lot of my credit cards, to be honest with you. Instead of really focusing on paying down credit cards, I stayed a little bit stagnant, but I also did so much work between the month of March and May. I had a little bit of leeway. I budgeted $2,000, only spent $482. I was below budget by about $1,700. Health and fitness, now this is where kind of starting to go off the rails a little bit here. I budgeted $100, but actually ended up spending $347.59. I am making a commitment for myself. It did start around the month of May, where I've really been focusing on getting my health under control. The $98 here is for MyFitnessPal. The $250 is for a program that I hired. I joined a health coaching program that was, I don't think I really processed that it was $250 for 2 months only. The value for it ended up being but it kick-started. It was great because it happened right as I was moving into a new apartment. So it incentivized me to start in my new apartment on the right foot. I guess money well spent. Under home, I put a new deposit on an apartment, so that's where the $350 reflects. But I also went to Home Depot quite a bit to buy things that I needed, 2 boxes, tape, etc. And the $1.50, this was the mailbox to do UPS transfer. Personal care, at the beginning of the month, I had a huge fancy gala, so I went to get my nails done. I got a mani-pedi. That was not cheap. I budgeted $100, spent $123. So in all of these three categories, in health and fitness, home and personal care, totally blew my budget out of the water. Taxes $450, and I spent $450, so right on budget. Overall, I had budgeted $7,725, ended up spending $6,157.82. I was below budget by $1,567.18. So not bad at all. We've looked at my primary bills that are fixed expenses. So the way my expense tracker is set up, my fixed expenses all go in first, and then I have my variable expenses. These are expenses that are not fixed and they fluctuate all the time. Usually this is where I see the biggest fluctuation. This is where often my life goes out of control. Under groceries, my first set of fixed expenses will be food and dining. Under groceries, I budgeted $400, ended up spending $274. Let's give it up to me for that. Congratulations. Because it's usually an out of control situation here. I was under budget by $125. Dining out, I budgeted $100, ended up spending $80. I was under budget by about $19. Overall, for food and dining, I budgeted $500 for the month, ended up spending $355.87. I was under budget by $144.13. Let's look at shopping expenses. Here under shopping, Amazon is a huge category for me because for the most part, I have fully embraced not going to grocery stores, not going to clothing stores. So for the most part, I'm Amazoning everything. I am Walmart delivering everything. I am Prime delivering everything, and Amazon freshing everything. So Amazon is a big category for me. I still have clothes on there because I do go to Ross and other clothing places every once in a while, but I really try not to make it a habit. Under Amazon, I budgeted $200. Of course, it was over budget by $39. This was a big month. It makes sense that this month I was over budget. The first week was when I had a gala. The past 2 weeks, even the 2 weeks prior, I was just really doing a whole lot of spending. If you can come over here, and this was my week, the month prior, getting ready for this event at the beginning of the month. So this is May. This is the week of May. This is May expenses. So on the shopping, I went out of control. It started fizzling out a little bit in June, so that's why you don't really see it reflected here, because I did a lot of damage the month prior. It's actually a good thing that I kind of went back to normal somewhat. Under clothing, had reserved $200. I had budgeted $200, but only spent $10 the first week. All 3 weeks after that, I did not spend anything on clothing. This is how I like to see it. Honestly, I have enough clothes. I do not need to be spending more money on clothes. I just need to lose the weight so that I can fit into the clothes that I already have in my closet. Overall, for shopping, I had budgeted $400. I ended up spending $249.93. So I was under budget by $150.07. So far, I am doing very good. I am under budget in almost every category overall. So this is why when I'm doing my analysis, I'm doing a line-by-line evaluation, but I'm also doing a broader category evaluation because it's normal. Like on some things I'll be over budget, on other things I'll be under budget. It makes sense. The next section of my main section of my budget spreadsheet are my work-related expenses. These work-related expenses, honestly, I do set a budget, but for the most part, I am loosely spending this money because this is work-related money. Now, I'm not just going out there buying anything, but I'm not holding myself to a strict budget. So for example, every once in a while, I get like a random call. Last week, I went to Ohio because on Friday, I was told that I needed to be in Ohio on Tuesday, right? I am not about to go look for like under those circumstances, you have no choice. It's whatever ticket is available to get you to your location in a timely way. That's why here, this is because it's work related, things are a little bit different. For airfare, I budgeted $3,000, ended up spending $3,279. I was over budget by $279. For taxi, I budgeted $500, ended up spending $207.79. I was under budget by $292.26. For airfare, I was over budget by $279.75, not under budget. Hotel, I budgeted $2,000, ended up spending $768. I was under budget by $1,231. Food and dining, I budgeted $1,000, ended up being over budget. I spent $1,091.87, so I was over budget by $91.87. Fuel, I budgeted $200 and I did not spend that. Usually when I tend to rent a car now, I lump the gas price into the car and the taxi. That's why you don't see a fuel expense. I used to really stress myself out to make sure I filled up prior to going to the airport, but sometimes I'm just in a hurry and doesn't always work out. And also, it's not like wherever I'm going, I'm traveling so much that I need to be filling up. Usually it's, I drove like, 40, 50 miles, but it's still more expensive than Uber. So, because trust me, these Uber costs are no longer cheap. So renting a car for $40 a day is better than spending almost $200 on just Ubering, and you don't even have the flexibility to go wherever you want to go. Car rental, budgeted $1,000, only spent $126. I was under budget by $873. So I really way overestimated this month how much I was going to spend. Conferences and seminars, budgeted $1,000, spent $263. Was under budget by $737. And then others, I budgeted $0 and I spent $12.85. I don't really know what that other is. Overall, in my work-related section, I budgeted $8,700 and I ended up only spending $5,049.96. I was under budget overall by $3,229.79. When all is said and done, I budgeted $17,325. I only ended up spending $12,513.58. For the most part, I was under budget by $6,847. But technically, right, I was only, what I ended up keeping in terms of what was in my bank account was only $3,229. Because if you think about it, it's work-related stuff that's not really true income coming my way. That often tends to be, which makes sense here. So projected here, based on the income that comes to my pocket and the money that I spend, is $3,832.47. When it comes to how I budget, the work-related stuff, that's usually money I'm spending on credit cards that the company is reimbursing me. This right here is more of a true reflection on what I have left over in my bank account at the end of the month. Based on my projected expenses, I am negative $2,000, but the true numbers were $16,000, which is what I got in income, $12,000, what I got in expenses, $3,832.47 is what was left over in my bank account at the end of this month. These are just based on what I projected, but that's not fully accurate. That is a quick overview of my expenses for the month of June. I will be doing a monthly overview for July as well, so that, yes, although I was MIA for 2 months, we are at least keeping track and seeing where we're at and completing the full cycle. Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate you for joining me for another Budget With Me video. I will be posting a lot more videos moving forward. I have moved into my new house. I am settled and I am ready to bring you more of these videos. So thank you guys so much for bearing with me. I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.